For the second consecutive game, the Steelers will host a division leader. They, of course, themselves are division leaders. The Steelers for a second consecutive week as well. A week after hosting the Packers, the AFC North leading Steelers will host the AFC South leading Indianapolis Colts, owners of the best record in all of football. Thanks for being with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers alongside Missi Matthews and Matt Williamson. I'm Rob King. Matt, the Steelers have lost 2 in a row. It's hard to remember that they were actually leading the game against Green Bay at halftime, and we're actually leading the game going into the fourth quarter. What they have now, though, is 2 consecutive losses in which they've allowed a lot of points, facing the most explosive team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. I mean, their offense to me is clearly the best in the league. I don't see any weaknesses with the offense whatsoever. We'll get into the matchups. The defense took a step forward. They're better at the quarterback position. I think their coach could be coach of the year. I think Jonathan Taylor could be offensive player of the year. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough test.
Yeah. Other than that, no real challenge.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I mean, Matt's making me feel better already as we're sitting here about Sunday's game.
So, I mean, one thing you'd love to do, let's get right into the matchups. If you can run the ball, Missy, you can keep it away from them. You can control the clock. And, of course, it's been a catalyst for the Steelers. The last 4 games, even though they didn't go over 100 this last game against Green Bay, the running game was still effective.
I think what Aaron Rodgers said about Jaylen Warren this week and how, prior there might have been players where he might not have gone to that guy. But with Jaylen Warren, he said, he's going to make at least one guy miss. And as Max always says on the radio, always falling forward. And it's so true. He's clearly the scrimmage leader in terms of yards for the entire Steelers team. And I just think, as you said, with the time of possession, you do not want to give Indy a chance to add more points to the board. And I think one thing that will be interesting is what happens with Isaac Seumalo. Will he be able to play through this pec injury that he suffered in the very end of the first half of this game that we're watching against the Packers? Because running the ball, the key has been Spencer Anderson, Darnell Washington, guys like that. And you're going to get some Grizzly veterans in the middle of this Colts defense. So Isaac Seumalo is somebody I need to know, is he playing or not on Sunday, and how did the Steelers scheme around it if he's not able to go?
Well, it does affect what they might do in a jumbo package, as you're alluding to as well. Of course, Seumalo, an excellent player in his own right. So that's an issue. And you're going against DeForest Buckner, who is a tremendous player, Grover Stewart next to him. And then the other guy in the middle of that defense, Zaire Franklin, who led the NFL in tackles last year and made the Pro Bowl. So it's not an easy little, sort of Bermuda triangle to run against in the middle of that defense.
No, and I think Missy's key is the most important thing in the whole game, to be honest with you, and their best path to victory. That the defense is just on the field way too much, and you have to win time of possession here. And the Colts defense, there's a lot of good things about this team, but they do allow long, sustained drives. And 47% of the points that the Steelers have allowed this year is in the fourth quarter. To me, that just screams fatigue and being on the field too long. Can't have it. Yeah.
And it's a Colts defense, too, that has been on the field more than the offense, right? So
the
Colts aren't winning time of possession, but they sure are scoring a lot of points. We'll get to their offense.
Sometimes they just score quick.
Yes, they do. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, the Steelers, we've been talking about Deshaun Elliott's injury, Matt, all weekend long, but the Colts are going to have zero sympathy. They've had injuries at the linebacker position, and especially at defensive back. Their top 3 outside corners in the opening weekend of the season, they're all gone. Injured, Davian Howard retired.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be sympathetic, but it does leave maybe an opportunity to attack young corners with DK Metcalf on the outside.
Yeah, again, this is a very, very good football team that's playing very, very well. But I would say corners, their biggest area of concern, top to bottom, with the roster. And Metcalf's been really good, but he's also left a play or 2 on the field that you wish would have went the other way. I'd love to see him get more targets. And especially if you start running the ball, like Missy mentioned, you're going to get one-on-ones. And I think Aaron Rodgers has made it perfectly clear that he will attack one-on-one matchups.
Yep, so hopefully, again, run the football, but you also don't want to not take those chances down the field. That's why DK Metcalf is here.
Well, and just what he can do once he gets the ball. Those yak yards, you saw it from, Green Bay last week whenever they were targeting the middle of the field and going after Tucker Kraft. The yak yards really killed the Steelers defense. That is what DK Metcalf is so good at, so strong. So hopefully that's something. I'm with Matt. He needs some more targets. I know there's not a ton to go around, but at the same time, he's one of those guys, if you can get the one-on-one, it's worth taking a shot.
So my key matchup's a bit of a bigger picture thing because I just think it's intriguing. You have Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. Arthur Smith, obviously a veteran offensive coordinator, going against Lou Anarumo, who we saw in Cincinnati. We've seen him over the years, and he does a lot of weird stuff. A lot to their defensive end. Like, it's one thing to maybe drop a guy into short coverage. Latu's been downfield 15 yards. He's a defensive end, a pass rusher. He has 2 interceptions this year at the defensive end position, and they aren't at the line of scrimmage. It's him dropping back in coverage. They bring bizarre blitzes. They do a lot of different things. So how you scheme against that and the recognition at the line of scrimmage, guys, I think is going to be a big key to this game.
I think they're splashy, and just the turnovers that they're creating. I think it's 10 interceptions, the forced fumbles. And, you know, the good thing is you have Aaron Rodgers, who has literally seen everything. But in terms of the defense, that's probably their strong suit in terms of being able to make opposing offenses have to really work to try to get into the red zone, which is something we didn't see enough with the Steelers' offense last week against Green Bay.
It's a lot like their matchup against the Vikings, too, with Flores. Just a really unorthodox defensive style and play caller. But you mentioned it. I mean, Rodgers has what I think is the best mind for the position in the whole league. And Arthur Smith has game planned and gone against him on a couple occasions already.
Yep, so that'll be sort of the game within the game, is watching that chess match between the coordinators and, of course, the guy moving those chess pieces around the board at the line of scrimmage, and Aaron Rodgers as well. Well, we want to know if you're ready to put your knowledge on the line to play and win in our predictive questions, our immaculate questions for you. And the immaculate prediction this week is, who is going to lead the Steelers in solo tackles? Is that going to be Peyton Wilson, or is it going to be Jalen Ramsey? And, of course, we give away great prizes, including this week an autographed Troy Polamalu football, a $50 Steelers Pro Shop gift card, and a classic terrible towel to the winner of this week's Immaculate Prediction Challenge. Up next, how can the Steelers D combat the NFL's highest scoring offense? We'll let you know when the matchup, presented by Shell Polymers, resumes. Get all your Steelers gear direct from the team. Shop the Steelers Pro Shop in-store or online for all things black and gold. You can get jerseys, hats, authentic memorabilia, custom gear, and exclusives you can't find anywhere else. And, of course, get the ultimate Steelers game day accessory, the terrible towel. Steelers Nation shops here. Get your gear in-store or online at shop.steelers.com. Steelers are trying to snap a 2-game losing streak and the 3-game winning streak that preceded that. The Steelers held their opponents to 14.7 points per game. But in the 4 games, other than those 3 games, the 2 games prior to that 3-game winning streak, the 2 games after, opponents are averaging nearly 33 points a game against the Steelers defense. Thanks for being back with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers. And Daniel Jones has been a big addition to Indianapolis. Look, it wasn't like this was a terrible football team. The last 2 years, 17-17 under Shane Steichen, 8-9 a year ago. They had a quarterback. Is he the right guy? There's no real reason to believe he was coming off his tenure with the Giants. Would he even start? You had Anthony Richardson. Well, he started, and he has been the difference in leading them to a 7-1 start.
And is he going to make some money this offseason? Just a complete difference from what you saw and what you thought about at the Giants. And he even said this week that the Colts have given him so much more confidence in himself and what he's able to do. But, you know, he's only been sacked 9 times. There's only been 4 turnovers by Indy. And I think, you know, when you have Jonathan Taylor, who just saw before we sat down to tape this, is the October AFC Player of the Month, rightfully so. It's a, as Matt said, one of the best offenses, and something that, you know, we talk about stopping the run every single week. This is a real challenge. Taylor has 3 or more touchdowns in 4 games this year. So
yeah, and we're going to get to Jonathan Taylor in a minute, but you know, you talk about, hey, should you draft a young quarterback, or should you just sign a former top pick who's on his 3rd team? That might be the way to go.
That's actually where I was going to go with it, because Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, now Daniel Jones, there's a couple other examples of highly talented early draft picks that have all the tools. Maybe they go to a rough environment, maybe they're a little immature. they find themselves in the right environment at the right time, and that's exactly what's going on in Indianapolis.
And by the way, almost by definition, if you're drafting a quarterback really high, you're really bad.
It's not a good situation. Yeah.
So that is almost by definition a tough situation to get into. Okay, so you mentioned, Missi, let's start with your key, and I think Jonathan Taylor, as you mentioned, October's Player of the Month. Look, he's healthy, and he's having his best season since he led the league in rushing. He leads the league in rushing. He leads the league in touchdowns. He is a formidable challenge.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think for Cam Hayward, all of the guys on that defensive front, the gap integrity, I really feel like we say the same things over and over again, but I think during this 2-game losing streak for the Steelers, there have been a lot of things that seem very basic that they can be doing to stop things. But this is a home run hitter type of guy. Cam said this is like everybody has to focus on him. Everybody has to know where he is at all times. And they faced him before, obviously not with the Colts. But yeah, this is going to be stop the run is first and foremost going to be what they have to do. And we saw them actually do it last week in the first half against the Packers. We didn't hear Josh Jacobs too much, you know, had under 20 rushing yards. But then things started getting off track and they were able to do different things.
And we're seeing the video. He does so many things
This is a
so
ridiculous
well.
run. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's you don't see anybody catch him. He makes people miss. He runs over people or runs through their tackles. I mean,
How about his feet on the sideline there too?
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
he's a perfect runner almost.
Yeah, well, that's one problem. Let's get to another problem.
Blocking's pretty good, and the pass catchers are pretty good. Yeah.
So the Colts, with their first-round pick, selected tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State, and that has paid huge dividends for them.
Huge dividends. I mean, we just saw Tucker Kraft. Warren's in that same mold of young tight end that is emerging in a big, big way. And I'm sure some Penn State fans are watching and remember all the ways they schemed him up. He was a quarterback earlier in life. He'll throw passes. He'll get rushing attempts. And it seems like he's always open even at the NFL level. He's been phenomenal. He's also great after the catch, but he's not their only weapon either.
No, he isn't, although he is a tough one. And look, you know, the Steelers had trouble with the tight end position, especially when Deshaun Elliott was out. They gave up a touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft when Elliott was in last week. He is now out again. This has been a problem area for the Steelers opposing tight ends.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think, you know, we talked about when Deshaun missed some time earlier in the season, what a loss that was, and then finally getting him back, how great that was. And now it, you know, looks like this is a week-to-week thing that we're going to have to be asking about. Coach Tomlin called it a hyperextended knee. Didn't sound as serious as maybe we all thought at the moment during that game, but he's on IR, so you know for at least 4 games you're not going to have him.
Yeah, and when you think about the term hyperextended knee, I don't think any of us want our knee bending in the wrong direction.
No, thanks.
Yeah, that's painful, and you got to worry about everything around it too, so hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. Of course, the Steelers made a trade, got Kyle Duggar, to a guy who's a strong safety type who played for the New England Patriots. Jabril Peppers, another strong safety type who also played for the Patriots in the mix as well.
But Rob, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Colts are looking at the Steelers safety situation saying we can target that group.
Yeah.
You know,
and
this unrest there.
We were sitting here a week ago talking about the opposing team, talking about the Packers running back in Jacobs, their tight end, and their deep threat in Watson coming back. Well, that's going to lead me to the deep threat because same thing with the Colts. You got the running back, you have the tight end, you have the deep threat and Alec Pierce. So you can't do all this work stopping the tight end, hopefully, and limiting as much as you can Jonathan Taylor and let Alec Pierce just beat you down the field. He's a leader in the NFL in yards per reception. And we saw Watson have a nice game in his first game back against the Packers, Matt. And Pierce is he is really developed into the guy that they want to throw the ball down the field to. I really love Pittman as a receiver, but you can't let this guy make big plays on you.
No, and he is similar to Watson in that regard. He's tall, he's long. He's a former volleyball player that was a great spiker and jumper and leaper, and he plays that way. But he's really leveled up this year too and developed even more of a route runner than just a deep threat. But they throw the ball down the field.
You know, there were a lot of plays, several plays, certainly for the Packers in the second half, offensively and defensively. But the pass to Watson on a 3rd and 7 that they hit for 33 yards inside the 10-yard line, another one of those plays that changed the complexion of the game. So they did a good job limiting Jacobs. They didn't do a good job in the tight end position, and then Watson was able to burn him. And big play guys, it only takes 1 or 2 plays, and then their work is done.
Well, and I think, too, some of the mistakes that are on the Steelers, the penalties on offense, special teams, DK Metcalf, Nick Herbig, things that really hurt them. And then whenever, Brandon Echols went in for Darius Slay and the Packers decided to go for 2, he thought they were going for 1. They didn't have, all the guys on the field. They were able to convert that. Now, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things at the end, but it could have at the time if they were able to deny them. So there are definitely things that I think, maybe the look in the mirror, realize and accept what went wrong to try to fix it. So I think the Steelers, the good thing is, though, they do have the right leaders on their team to do that, but you can't have those things, especially when it's a tight ball game and you're giving up a lead that you had at halftime.
Well,
and against this offense,
that's
you
right.
could play your best game and still be in for a long day. You can't have any of those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, it's a big task. It awaits the Steelers, who are 4-3, hosting the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts. Kickoff at Acrisure Stadium is scheduled for 1 p.m. coming up on Sunday. For Missi Matthews, Matt Williamson, and for our Steelers production crew, I'm Rob King. We thank you for watching this edition of The Matchup, presented by Shell Polymers.